Suppose I were to tell you that Batman really lived, that he was an historical figure. Suppose I were to tell you that at some point in history, a billionaire maximized his physical and mental abilities, put on a bat costume, and went around the city fighting crime. Would you believe me? If I were to get you to believe this, what would I need to do? Would you just take my word for it? Probably not. I know that if you came to me trying to convince me that a bat costume crime fighter really lived in history, I'd want to see some evidence for it. I'd want to see some solid stand-up in a court of law evidence. Would I be closed-minded to the idea of a historical Batman? No. Now, I think it's unlikely that a person like Batman actually existed in history. It's unlikely that a billionaire would put on a Halloween costume and run around the city fighting crime. So unlikely that I want to see some major evidence and get some major convincing. But it's not outside the realm of possibility. Now, suppose I were to tell you that Superman actually existed. Suppose I were to tell you that a human-looking alien came to Earth from outer space and had extraordinary powers, where he could run faster than a speeding bullet, be more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall, bulletproof skin, X-ray vision. Someone with those kinds of superpowers had actually lived on Earth. Would you believe me? I bet you'd want to see scads or evidence for a historical Superman than a historical Batman. Evidence for this that was extraordinarily unimpeachable before you'd be willing to reassess what is or is not possible here on Earth. I'd need to convince you that there was such a planet as Krypton, that it was inhabited by human-looking life forms, and that they had the technology to send one of their own in a rocket ship all the way to Earth. And I need to convince you of all of that before we'd even begin to start discussing bulletproof skin or X-ray vision. Now, I should spell out for those who don't know, unlike most costume comic book heroes, Batman does not have any superpowers. He's just an ordinary mortal who fights crime, kind of like a costume James Bond. So, as unlikely as I think a historical Batman would be, such a character is not outside the realm of possibility. However, knowing what I do about physical realities, I'd have to say that a historical Superman stands very far outside the realm of possibility. So far that I'd have to say that a historical Superman would be impossible. And I would need lots and lots of evidence before I would even begin to think otherwise. So if you wanted to convince me that Superman, a man with supernatural and superhuman abilities, actually lived in history, you'd need a hell of a lot more evidence than you would if you were going to get me to believe that Batman, a man without superhuman powers, really lived in history. Do you see the difference?